This is Lit, the Derrick Siu podcast, where we explore purpose, potential, and the human condition. And hopefully uncover some new ways of being and doing in the process. Jump in and join me for a deep dive with my special guests each and every episode for some revelatory, stimulating, and sometimes scintillating conversation. Alright, it's time to get lit. Let's do this. Hi, Derrick here, and a big welcome back to Lit. It feels really good to be back. 2025 was a big year of building, reflection, and conversations that stayed with me long after the microphones turned off. During that time, I sat down with three remarkable people whose ideas shifted how I think about work, community, and health. These interviews were originally recorded for another project called Ultra Human, so you might hear a short intro clip or a few references along the way, but listening back, it was clear they belong right here under Lit. Thanks for your patience and for staying with me on this journey. Right now, I'm in Chiang Mai at one of the city's iconic spots, Chiang Mai University, and it feels like the right place to kick off what's next. So to start the new year, I'm sharing my conversation with Christian, one of the minds behind Frontier Tower in San Francisco, a new vertical village that's quickly becoming a catalyst for founders, frontier tech, and culture in the city. We recorded this at the tower late last year. All right, I think we're ready. Let's get into it. You're listening to Ultra Human, the podcast decoding the science, stories, and strategies behind peak performance, longevity, and flourishing. I'm Dr. Derrick Siu. Together with visionary guests, we stand at the frontier of human potential, exploring what we can become together. All right, it's time to get ultra. Let's go. Hi, and welcome to Ultra Human. I'm Derrick Siu, and today we have a special guest who's one of those rare humans reshaping the future quietly whilst also making you feel completely at home in his presence. He's one of the co-founders of Berlin House, who have just bought this 16-story building in the heart of downtown San Francisco, transforming it into a vertical startup playground on the frontier of tech. He's a big vision builder with low-key vibes. And whilst most people would be serving up big ideas, you're more likely to find him serving up a perfectly cooked medium rare steak with a big grin saying, "Welcome to the future." Say hello to Christian.
Wow, what a nice intro.
Thank you. Yeah, so good to have you on the podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you. When I first met you, I actually had no idea who you were. And the first time I saw you was on the roof. I think it was you were doing some election happening here at the tower.
Yeah.
It was also part of the start of Viva Pop-Up City, which I believe was kind of a soft launch, kind of intro to the tower.
Yes, it was like, so I mean, like, I think the Viva Pop-Up was I think two things. It was first of all a big thank you to Lawrence. He helped us very early onwards with like intros and all sorts of things. And like his project is Viva, and like, And so we just wanted to like, help him wherever we can with his vision. We're very much vision aligned. So that was like, I think, one very big driver. And the second thing is just like what happened is originally our plan was, we get the keys in April, and then we start like, making it nice, furnishing it and everything. And then by August, like, we should be ready. And then like, we open up to slowly start the tower. We do this pop-up where we also serve food to have some special incentivization for people to come. And then like, it was such an emotional roller coaster because we never knew whether it would actually work out for various reasons. And then like the community that we talked about before got so excited, and we also got so excited, and no one wanted to wait. And then we were like, okay, look, we're building this kind of community where it's all about like, building together, building out in the open, like, not like anyone having more say than the others, and really like doing it together. Not just consuming, but also creating, putting yourself in there. So why would we not just directly open? And so instead of like, building it out and waiting, we just, the moment you got the keys, actually one day earlier, because Vitalik Buterin came for the interview and like he was there in the town. So, so actually one day earlier, we just opened up the space. And so, yeah, then like, when the pop-up came, we already opened, we already had lots of members. And so the pop-up just came into this existing structure, which I actually think turned out quite nicely because people came and already saw something that's existing, that's thriving. So they already got their vision just by observing what's going on. And also they brought, I think, a lot of kind of like feeling that we want to create by having dinners together, by being around, by like, taking your shoe off policy on the 16th floor. And so, yeah, I think it was really cool, really nice. And, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was very excited to be here. Part of what you're trying to do here as well as just being in San Francisco, because it seems like there's a feeling of a resurgence of, I don't know, there's a lot of optimism and lots of things happening again. Yeah. And I remember seeing you first just behind the barbecue and, just being a machine behind the barbecue, making just delivering those steaks. And I was really impressed because, I can cook a pretty good steak, one or two, but you were just delivering them like one after the other and they're all perfect. It was amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, like, I love cooking. Yeah. And so if you love something, you're naturally not that bad at it. Yeah. And so, like I wanted to bring something to the tower that is other than just like me being the co-founder, something like basic. And I think it's like, that is my kind of participation to the tower. And I'm doing this very consciously to really show, I'm not just the one managing this. I'm also part of that community. And, that's the kind of like, like I want to show people by doing what I'm doing, like how they can participate in the tower. And I want to like make them think about, what they can bring to the tower so that it's just better for everyone. The second thing is, this was the election. So we're like, right now, we're kind of a dictatorship, so it's just us co-founder running it. But we want to have this really like decentralized autonomous organization running the tower, and we want to have a variety of towers. This is just a blueprint, and to really have this network society that is run, by the community itself, by the people. And so we're taking like small steps towards that, and you really like a startup approach. So really like, what problems does the tower have? And how can we kind of build democratic structures and like rules that actually solve these problems? And so the first one was really the question. I think that's when we met. It was actually our first election. It was about, who can actually become a citizen and who can like stay a citizen essentially, because, as like we're opt-in, so you can leave any time unless like, any government or something. But we also need to make sure that we have a certain spirit and a certain kind of, value alignment, and just like that people feel comfortable. We're not being elitist or anything, but there's every now and then there's a situation where you say, hey, I don't think that's a fit. You can't come here anymore. You're no longer a citizen. And, we felt that should be one of the first things to kind of be determined by the community. So we elected this committee, that would now make this decision and also write down the rules. And so to kickstart this process of democratization, to get people motivated to come for election, I felt like, they don't really know yet what it's about. The people aren't used to this concept that they can actually decide and not only consume, and that they have a say. And it's not like there's like this massive, big election where everything will be decided, but just a small thing. So I felt this would be a good kind of, add on to have like a food offer so people show up.
It's always a good plan.
Yeah, right.
And it worked out. And it was great. I really love the community feel here. And I love the fact that everything's messy. Everything is in a process of forming, and there's all that opportunity of creating new ways of doing things. Yeah. So I think that's very exciting to be in the middle of that. Yeah. But you know what? I'd love to talk more about the tower itself. I actually want to go back a little bit because I know you have a super interesting history in terms of where it all started. I know you started Berlin House was your main company, but before that you were in tech. You were in the club scene in Berlin. Is that right? Yeah. Tell me about how all that started. How did you get into that scene from the early days?
Yeah, I mean, so I studied literature and culture in Berlin. And I was just like, having a good time, like European student life, which is like pretty chill, to be honest, and like having all these like philosophical intellectual debates and like going out and yeah, like the techno scene in Berlin back then was absolutely unique. But we already saw that what happened was a lot of our friends that had these clubs, they actually like, they made the city what it is. And then it was like 5 years later, the kind of rental contracts ended. So all the clubs, or most of the clubs, had problems with just kind of like existing because the landlord said, hey, we're going to increase the rent, and so we saw that problem happening. And at the same time, a lot of our artist friends moved to 1 hour away to Leipzig. And back then, Leipzig was like no one wanted to, like very few people wanted to live there. It was just early stage. And
what time was this around?
This was like 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. And so people, like, there was whole blocks and whole streets being completely empty. And so I met then Jacob, who's now my co-founder, and told him like, like that's so cheap, and like, let's build a community there. And then, like he got on board, and we went to Leipzig and bought this beautiful 19th century building, which was completely run down. There were like 2 floors were just collapsed and everything, and no one wanted to buy that. When we told to the broker, yeah, we're going to buy it, they looked at us like, what? Like, why? And then the answer was literally, yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can buy it. So there was no one else that bought it. It was like super, super cheap. And yeah, we ended up buying it. And we then there was this online homepage where you could find like roommates. And we just put there, hey, there's like 30 rooms. Right now,
30 rooms. Yeah.
Wow. Right now, it's completely unrenovated. There's only 1 bath that we might get to work and 1 kitchen. There's soon going to be water, and we have to share that. And we have to like renovate it all together. And downstairs, we'll be having a techno club. But like the first 6 months, the rent is for free, and then afterwards, this is the rent, which is like also
wow,
a good price.
That's an amazing offer.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I heard about it back then.
and 2 things happened. Number 1. Like we filled up, like there was like a lot of demand that even before we were actually the owner. So we put in we put in the contract that we have the right to, like, while we had purchased the building, to go in there with an architect. So they gave us a key to go in with the architect and like check it out. And we just rented the whole place.
You just what?
We rented it out. So even before we bought the building, it was full.
Wow. So the contract hadn't been actually all done.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
And so people loved it. And the other super interesting thing is because this was not for everyone, right? So like, if you don't want to, if you're not interested in that, so why would you want to spend time to renovate or like share a bathroom and just like run down a house with someone? So actually we said almost yes to everyone, because we were like, what, like, hey, like, let's say yes, why not? Let's see. There must be a reason. They must know why they want to be here. So let's figure out. And it turned out to be awesome people.
Amazing.
It turned out to be super cool people. Just this criterion, right?
Yeah.
But I also think just the community made them somehow cool people. I don't know. They got the best out of them. It's really, I could see them. They were like super shy, some of them. And I could see it over 1 or 2 years how they developed. And we just became this super cool spot. And it's like, then we opened up the club downstairs, and that was quite a big success. People in Leipzig at the time, they all knew it, they loved it, and there was like queues and everything, and it was like a really good time. And then we kind of, after 3 years, it's like it was training. So it was really like a techno club, and we were living upstairs. So we were roommates, friends, and we're in the 20s, so a lot of things happened.
Yeah.
And then we were also landlords in a way, if you break it down. So like, at the end, like they paid rent to us.
Yep.
And we had this deal, you can work 2 days in the club, and then you don't have to, like, you just don't have to pay rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was really cool for people. Like, you essentially just give out some alcohol to your friends and people in a cool club, and that's it. So, but this also led to the fact that we're kind of like employees. We had to be like, hey, come to your shift. You haven't shown up there. Hey, stop giving alcohol to free for everyone. It's kind of like classical kind of things. So it was a lot of like things going on at the same time. And then it was the whole techno club where everything always was going something on. And like, And we actually, like, a lot of people recognized us in Leipzig. So I observed myself going more and more to Berlin just because I enjoyed my privacy and, like, you know. And
just to give a context, I've never been to this place, Leipzig.
Yeah.
How big is this town or city, or is it
Leipzig,
a suburb, or?
Yeah, no. So Leipzig is like it used to be the place where the stock market in Germany was.
Oh, okay. So it's like the financial district.
No. It's like, so. I mean, to German, right? So German history is got, like, you know, like a lot of things happened in the 20th century. So it used to be part of Eastern Germany, right? So that's why everything was empty, because the wall came down, people fled or moved away from East Germany. There was no job, the industry was gone, and so and during the Eastern German, like, regime was there. It wasn't the stock market, it was nothing. And then, you know, the stock market is in Frankfurt, and it never came back to Leipzig. But, like, it's just a historical city. It's like very, very beautiful 19th century architecture. Is like it still has the biggest European book market there once a year. So it's a very cultural. Historically, it was the biggest fur market in Europe. So
fur.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Back in the days, it was a big thing. Like, nowadays, no. So, like, it was like this big historical city. Everyone knows it in Germany or in parts of Europe as well. Bach lived there. Wow. He had his concert hall there. So a lot of Bach was composed. It was like really this cultural hub. There was a lot of, like, history behind it. But the city was, like, I think 20-30% vacancy, including residential. And, like, in our part of the city, it was like the whole street was, like, completely.
You had the whole block.
Yeah. I mean, if we had money back then, we would have bought the whole block and made it like our capital. Like, you know, yeah.
Wow. All right. So you mentioned that you did this for about 3 years, and then obviously, I mean, I could see that becoming quite draining. I mean, if you're working at the club all during the night into the early morning, then you have to manage the property the rest of the day. That's pretty full on.
Yeah. I mean, so we had a manager. So early on, I realized, okay, if you want to stay a bit healthy, you need to, like, outsource things.
Yeah.
But still, there was a lot of going on, and it just felt, you know, we never planned. So the thing we did is the club was in the residential area. It was in the basement on the ground floor, so we never got all the permits back then, right? so we always thought, you know, we never thought about it as this kind of, like, I never thought, like, I'm going to be running a club, right? We thought about it, we do it for us and friends, and, like, we never also wanted to extract money from it, or this was always, like, you know,
it's just a fun thing to do.
And so we did pay all the taxes. That was always important. Like, but apart from that, you know, we didn't have, like, the construction, like, you know, the permits to run a club. You know, it's like very difficult. So all this noise stuff and these kind of things. But given that there were not so many people living, and given that the city really saw that, like, we're bringing something really positive, they looked the other side. So they were like, and we brought, like, cakes to neighbors because there were all crazy stuff happening. Like, and so I always thought, like, you know, in 1 or 2 years they will shut us down. That was my expectation, but they never did. They never did. And after 3 years, I realized they're not going to shut us down. They're going to let us run forever. And so it's like, actually, we have to close it ourselves. And that's just like, I didn't want to run a club for my whole life.
Right.
And at one moment, I just felt like I want to have a bigger impact. I was, like, getting more and more interested in technologies. And I just felt it's time to move on. So
you closed it. And what about the residential aspect?
So let's say that we still own it. And we're actually now in the process of selling it back to the community.
Right.
And so we never closed it in terms of, like, so we had, like, a professional booker, we had, like, bouncers, we had, like, really curated, actually quite like famous in the underground scene DJs. And so we just left it to the community entirely to run it in a non-professional way. So they're still doing parties there, they're still doing things there, but it's like, it's a bit different, right? So it's like, we never closed it down, the people still live there. We've never increased the rent ever.
Wow.
So they're still, like, now they're paying, like, very low rent, but that's okay. And, so that's that. That's the story.
Fantastic. So that was 2013.
Yeah.
You kind of stepped away from around 2016, I guess.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing since then? That's like in the last 10 years up to this point.
So I went into tech, had a startup called D-Stock. We tokenized stocks. So actually the first one, to my knowledge,
so you put
on so that was like completely tech startup, classical. We raised money, like the whole thing.
Wow.
And I think we were the first ones to tokenize stocks actually, and we got the green light of the regulators in Liechtenstein, but then what happened? It took us actually 2.5 years to get the green light of the regulators in Liechtenstein, and we by the time American brokers, so our goal was always to give access to financial products like stocks to emerging markets.
Right.
So they were like, our co-founder Craig came from South Africa. At the time, I was like spending my winters in Cape Town. And so this whole idea was like born in like Africa, essentially, where like, people wanted to have access to Western stocks. It was not really possible. And we felt like at the same time blockchain was coming, I was looking for a startup idea. I was like, hey, this is perfect. We can like leapfrog the whole financial system, give them access. And the idea was to do something like Robinhood for emerging markets, but also build the underlying, blockchain, like settlement layer with blockchain, use that technology to leapfrog and not depend on any banking system that was not fully developed in Africa. Which was, I think, still was a great idea.
Sounds amazing. How did that all?
So two things happened. It took us 2.5 years because like we needed to have the European banks on board to tokenize the stocks.
Right.
And because we had to have them somewhere locked in, right? We didn't do like, we wanted to be 100% backed.
Yep.
So to get the European banks comfortable, we needed to have the regulators comfortable, and to get all parts together. This took us 2.5 years. And then it was like, I think, two things that happened. At that time, American brokers have opened APIs to African startups that then kind of in the markets that we found the most interesting did like Robinhood apps in Nigeria that exists now, Bamboo and these kind of things. So they were already competitors by the time we were done. And then the second thing, and this is something I recommend everyone that launches in emerging markets, I think we had like 20,000 app downloads within a day. So
20,000?
People loved it.
Wow.
But the problem was, so the average like investment size for which they bought stocks was $1.
Oh my God.
And that's not our gains. That was just like they bought $1. So like,
yeah.
And for us to do KYC was $3.50.
Wow.
So
okay.
With every customer, we lost money.
You're funding. You're funding.
Yeah. And then like, I think Bamboo had like, these apps have figured it out. So they already had like the prime customers that there are customers.
Oh, they already had existing customers that they could port to the.
Yeah.
Right.
And these were the customers that you would need. Yep. And so like, didn't work out. But yeah, it was super interesting, super learning. And
were you able to like sell your technology or sell your platform?
Nah, not really. No. Not really. One investor took over, but like, that was that. Okay. But what happened is, so when I started the startup, I was quite well connected already with business. So I had like a really cool team, like really, really good team, and actually very good funding, a couple of millions. So,
wow.
But I didn't have a tech team. And on the paper, I had a really good tech team. A friend of mine has like the leading HR agency in blockchain. And he loved the idea so much, he helped me for free.
Oh, wow.
So I hired them. After 4 months, I realized they have not written a single line of code.
Huh?
Yeah. And I didn't know anything. So I always asked them, shouldn't we write something? No, let's first reason. And then after 4 months, I came like, hey, I feel we don't make any progress. And then the answer was define progress. And then that's where I was like, oh, there's something going wrong. And then I hired an agency that, and then you have a contract, you deliver this, a statement of work. And what happens is like you just, they deliver exactly what they have to say, but like by the time you have to iterate and there's like regulators wanting this, so it doesn't really work like that. And so they did what they had to do, but it didn't really help me,
Right.
And I think they also, pitched it in a way that it sounds super fancy. It was actually, like, I think, not that complicated what they built. And, it's kind of like when you work with an agency. It's a bit like a lawyer, right? They're always going to see a problem so that they can charge you and so on.
Yeah, right.
And then I had our co-founder, even now for Berlin House, Christian Peters. He became our CTO in D-Stock. And from then onward, things flew. Boom.
Oh, okay.
The tech was going.
So when Christian came on board, he was able to...
Everything was going. And then I realized, oh my God, like that's how it can work.
Wow.
And so when we ended D-Stock, I said like, hey, you know what? I would have needed, back then I would have needed someone like you or an agency, but that operates differently. Let's talk about this, because there are so many awesome founders like me that maybe have like, industry knowledge, a good network, that would be great founders that have been maybe working for 10 years in an industry and really know what problems they would have. Especially back then, it was the focus on blockchains or like financial. And so but they maybe have like problems to really kind of, understand the tech part and don't feel comfortable building out the tech. So how about we do an agency, a tech agency, full service that builds the entire tech for these founders? but in order to not be in a situation that we negotiate against our own interests by, like as an agency, you always are like, oh, this is so complicated. There's nothing open source. We have to build it from the scratch, make it sound like bull and make a statement of work, build them a big amount. And then so let's kind of think about how we can align with them. And let's take a little bit of money from them just to cover our costs. But let's ask them for equity. So let's change this model a little bit so that we're always, incentivization, that we're always aligned with them, and that we don't prevent in a situation where we have to, where there's a conflict between our economic interest in an agency and the success of the startup and what we should tell the startup. And and that worked super well. And then one company was going in direction IPO. I can't name it because I'm fully under NDA still.
Okay.
And they asked us, they said, look guys, we're going in direction IPO. We need to buy you. It can't be that the whole tech team is you and on the paper an external agency. So
right.
Please buy you. So and then
so
we
you got bought out.
Yeah.
When was this?
This was 2000. Oh my God, 2021.
Okay. So
no. Wait a second. This was 2022, I think.
Wow. Okay. Very recent. And
2021, I think. 2021. Yeah.
They bought your company out.
Yeah.
But what about, I think one of the key things that you just mentioned was your personnel. Was that with the people?
With the people, entire tech team, everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
Nothing. It was a nice exit. And then, 1 year later, we said because we actually wanted to do that. We like doing that. We like innovating and being at the early stage of startups. And
then build it and then.
And so after 1 year, we said, okay, let's do this again. And then we started another venture studio, and that's still kind of going.
Is it built on the same model, or have you tweaked it, or?
It was built on a similar model, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to be. I hope we're going to go back to it again, building actually startups. But then this whole Berlin House started, and it's going so well and it's so fascinating. It's just a lot of fun. That right now, to be honest, we're only doing that.
You still call that? Where is the center of Berlin House, or where's the here? And
Berlin House is a complete new company, and this is the first. This is the first tower.
Right. Okay.
So and we just refer to our experience back then, because that's something that really made us understand how much you can achieve with a community and how cool it is for everyone.
Right.
And it was also something that when Jacob and I, when we met, we stayed friends. And whenever we met, we were talking about this time. We were hey, this was such a cool time. And it's actually successful in a way, And it was super cool. And it was actually the time we had the most fun, kind of, doing what we're doing. And so, but we also saw no one wanted to live in this area. And all of a sudden, everyone wanted to be there. We had no problem kind of filling up the space. And so a lot of things that we saw here in San Francisco, coming to San Francisco, reminded us of the situation back then. And the reason why we called it actually Berlin House, and originally this tower was also called Berlin House, Frontier Tower. There was the two names around, everyone got confused. So right now it's actually Frontier Tower, and also our company, we call it Frontier Tower. Yeah. We just haven't renamed Berlin House Inc. into Frontier Tower, so it's it's something to do. But the reason we called it Berlin House is because when I moved to Berlin when I was 18, and then with the experience I had in Berlin and then in Leipzig, it's really the spirit because of the wall coming down and all of a sudden all of this empty space, but in this area where there's lots of great infrastructure, a lot of cool things and all this history, it just led to this unique moment in time when there was a concentration of super cool people having all the space, and there was this kind of boom of creativity in all directions. And it is something that I think, I don't know, if you've experienced it, things become very logic. It becomes very logic. There's an empty space. Let's improvise there. Let's do this. But if you live in this corporate Americanized world where everything is always by the book and everything perfect and here you're the customer, please pay, then you can do this and that, you don't necessarily come up. You don't necessarily understand that you can do it differently.
Yeah.
So we felt the reason why we called it Berlin House was because we said hey, this is something we can actually bring to San Francisco. This spirit of do it yourself, let's do it together, building community is something that actually we can, import to San Francisco. That's enrich this city. And that's actually missing here, And so that's why we call it Berlin House. Then a lot of people, you know how it is. That's like a lot of people then just thought, oh, the guys are from Berlin. They call it Berlin. So it was like, like, I don't know. And I felt like, okay, shit, that's not what I want to communicate, right?
Yeah.
So, and people love the word Frontier Tower, and I think it's reflecting much more of what we want to achieve. So yeah, we changed it to Frontier Tower actually. But the company is still called Berlin House Inc. till now. Yeah.
Okay, but so I always, for some reason, I thought the Berlin House was actually referring to the place that you had back in Germany. No. But but people are still living there. Yeah. It's still a thing. Right. Yeah. But it's just self-managed.
Yeah,
it's community managed.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing that you've been able to create something like that.
Yeah.
That the community just autonomously.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to do here with the Frontier Tower. The same thing.
Yeah. But this time much more conscious and scalable. So this time we really want to build it like out in a way that is like, it's not just chaotic situation-based kind of decision-making, but really want to establish rules together with everyone that make sense, then have them transparent, and so that people know, okay, there's this situation, that's not allowed, so, you get this and this, like, I don't know, warning, or you get, like, dismissed as a member, or whatever, like, you can do this, you can't do that, here are our values, these kind of things. So really want to make it much more intentional this time. And
it sounds like you've had a lot of experience. I mean, pulling all these things off, you've obviously had to manage the right people, get the right people on board. Like you mentioned, when you had the other Christian come on board, that made such a big difference. What has been kind of like the keys to you feel that in attracting the right people to come on board to help execute this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a two things. So number one, I mean, like, so just for example, this example with D-Stock, in the end it didn't work out. But I maintain, like, we were still friends. So like many startups, when they fail, the founders fight, or like you end up in bad terms. And we ended up in good terms, because I was always honest and transparent, and so was he. And that like actually led me to have this awesome talent with me for, that I can trust and have these like really long-term relationships. The same thing with Jacob, and these are my two co-founders now, right? And so I think one thing is really, if you find good people that you can trust, with whom you've been together, like try to behave in a way that like these relationships, like even if you succeed or not, doesn't matter, stay with you. And that like, that you have this contact and that you can like be together, because it's so easy to do business with them, because we trust each other, because we know each other for so long. And they're both like amazing people and like very skilled. And so this is, I think, one thing, right? So this core team is super important. I think the second thing is just, I think the moment you give people ownership, they behave differently. So I always felt like, no matter if it's a startup or anything you do, it's like a lot of it depends on how you treat them and how much kind of like trust you bring towards them, how it comes back, right? So if you micromanage them, you're going to end up having to micromanage them, because that's the kind of culture you get. If you give them ownership from day one, you will think, wow, that was a good decision to give them ownership. And then I think it's important to have like a vision that people can align on, and that like resonates with their values and with what they're interested in. And I think it's important to stay true to that. So you shouldn't just walk around and say, hey, it's like in America, it's like there's like a supermarket, it's called community market. I'm always wondering, what is community about this? It's super expensive, and like what is community around it? Just because it's like in the corner, or like, what makes it a community? And I think the word community and this kind of thing is sometimes being overused, and it's like very easy to say things like, we're all in this together, but you actually have to live up to it on many levels. So that, I think, is very important. And then you actually keep the people, and they actually stay aligned with you and stay aligned with the mission. And
On the point of taking ownership, I'm curious as to how do you do that? How do you create that? Is it a contract? Is it how do you communicate that? How does everyone understand what it means?
Yeah. So few things. The first thing is, I'm not very good in organizing things. I'm not very good in following up 20 emails and like doing all this stuff. So that's an advantage actually, because I know I'm not going to do it, so I need to make sure someone else does it, right? So that's like, sometimes helps to not be able to do everything, to be conscious about that. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think is like, so I try to have them involved in all the conversations. So like the moment, like a lot of people, they somehow want to hide stuff from their employees. So they feel like startup founders often feel like they may need to make it sound everything is fully on track and it's so cool, and like before they hire people, right? And I'm making a point to giving them the whole picture so that they understand what they're getting into, but they also understand they have enough context to make the right decisions, right? So like a lot of people are like, I also made this mistake in the past that I was like, why did you not make that decision? But I realized, well, you only gave them that part of context. You allowed them to have that context, so they had no chance to ever make the right decision, right? And so I think it's very important to, like, I believe in transparency. So give your team members full transparency, have them sit in every meeting, no matter with whom, and so that they understand. Don't try to hide anything from them. And no matter if the company has financial problems, don't hide it from them. They will understand. Like, it saves a lot of time. And it's like, I've seen it like when my company started, it's like people, like the moment employees start realizing, oh, there's a financial problem or whatever, like, yeah, maybe one or two leave, but others are like, hey, you know what? Like, just pay me a bit later. Or, hey, you know what? Like, let's talk this and this, and hey, I figured out this, and how about this? So like, it really helps to get people, like, to give them just like the full transparency. And the other thing that I do is, and that's like maybe also for what we're doing, it's probably lacquer, I let people find us. So like a lot of people come here, and so the most people we hire, they're like, we're part of the community, and then they kind of kept going to me and be like, hey, how about this? And then I watch the way they do it, and the way they kind of, get my attention, and the way they show what they can provide value. Like, I can very much get a feeling for, like, how good they are and things. And like, yeah.
Have you, in your experience then, what kind of mistakes have you made in this area? You seem like
all of these mistakes. Everything I've described right now is like I did the opposite. So like, obviously, I guess it's the learnings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Was there any particular story you can think of that comes to mind that maybe illustrate one of these points?
Yeah. I mean, so I also did more mistakes than that. So one mistake that I did is sometimes like put too much work on people.
Right.
So then they kind of like burned out and like felt like it's too much and they can't handle it anymore. And that's something I think is always like important to kind of monitor, like to really understand. Okay, there's some people and they're actually really good employees. They like never say no.
Yeah.
And they always want to say yes, and they never want to disappoint you. When sometimes they should say no. So I've become very careful to identify these people.
Yep.
And then just kind of like, just like make a really big point on like, hey, first of all, you've done a great job, and like it's enough for today. If you have more energy, that's like awesome, that's incredible. But already what you've done today is more than enough, because like there's a lot of people, especially in tech scene, especially like for big visions working, that are just have this feeling that they're never good enough. So
right.
that's a big driver of motivation. And these people also tend to burn out, and so I think it's something that is important, because that is really sometimes the relationship can suffer from that.
Yeah.
And then you just lose people that are actually really good, and yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is. I mean, there is especially I guess here in the startup kind of world, there's that kind of bravado that is kind of like, oh, I stayed all night, I didn't go to sleep, that kind of thing. And we have to be more sustainable.
And I love this. I love when people do this. I do that, and there's like, but like, if it's not a must. That is, I think, the really important thing. It's also okay to have the weekend off.
Yeah.
Everyone's a bit different, and like, some people like are super efficient in 5 hours, but they shouldn't work more. So it's like, I'm always trying to make it like, see what the results are, and if they're good, then hey, make sure you're also like, healthy.
Right. Good. Good to know. So tell me the vision. I know that you're saying you want to make this scalable. Yeah. What's the kind of, I don't know, whether you have a 5 or 10 year thing that you want to try and achieve?
Yeah. I mean, so we really want to become this network society. So our vision is to have towers in all relevant places. Relevant meaning like, where technological innovation, culture innovation, political discourse, philosophical discourse happens. So here in San Francisco, there's a strong focus on frontier technologies because there's the city in it. But even here we have like arts and music, human flourishing. You've seen it. We're trying to really like have the kind of like fullness of human experience covered in one tower. So in other cities, it's probably going to be like, maybe like a bit more on like philosophy, and like maybe some European cities, or a bit more on creative and film producing in like LA. But there will always be like this kind of like core technology and arts and music and human experience that will be kind of like the two themes. And so the vision is really to become this like, and let's see how it goes, right? But like, gotta dream big of like 30 million citizens all over the 30 million, 30 million.
Why 13? What's so special about this number?
Now it's so the idea is just to have 1,000 towers all over the world, and then each tower can be a home for like 13,000 people, and that would be like 30 million then. Yeah. Just think about if you want to launch your startup, you've got like 30 million people, like ready to listen to you. So the community can really develop like a lot of things and actually will have a really impact, right? On like, including economies, right? It will be like, where do we go? And it's this nomadic lifestyle. So it's like not like people aren't. So I want like the goal is really to have them, really aligned and mission bound with us. Almost in a way like they see it as their like home, right? So they're like their nation state would be like then like emotionally like Frontier Tower.
Right, but so it could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah, but it could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And what combines them is not like, hey, you were born in Germany, but what combines them is like, hey, you share the vision of like making this place a better world with innovation, with interaction between humans, centered around human experience, and
some people have mentioned to me that, or sometimes when I talk about this, some people will say, "Oh, maybe there's some similarity to what WeWork tried to do."
Yeah.
How would you distinguish the difference in terms of what your vision is and what they try to do?
So, like I mean, like first of all, like I think like
I feel it's totally different. By the way. Because this to me feels like, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a kind of like a Steve Jobs type of a thing. We're pirates, we're trying to push the frontier and all that kind of thing. So it does feel very different to me.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring this up because I think some people have brought this up.
It's absolutely fair to bring it up. I mean, just like, so what I think about WeWork, and it's just my opinion, but like, if you actually look at what has been said and promised, it's super cool. Like, we have this community and we have this thing, but like, what was it at the end of the day? Like, what was the community aspect of it, right? Like, how did they participate in it? How was the community? It was just like, a couple of people, like, in my opinion, a couple of people getting rich and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So like, just the idea of building like a community that is global, that is aligned, that is really like strong with each other, that spends a lot of time to each other, that feels aligned with each other, a place that is more than work. I don't think we're that different, but we actually mean it.
Right.
So we try to do this. Yes. We're having elections, we're passing on like power. Like I don't know. Like right now already, there's a committee that decides on citizenships, right?
Yeah.
So there's a committee now that got like $2,000 per day per month to spend on whatever they want to bring to the tower, and we'll increase that. So the idea is that become the finance ministry. Scaling this, and this is also our scaling strategy, is to make it fully decentralized, meaning we have an intergovernmental layer that will be voted via DAO tokens. And that will like determine also the expansion. So it will be the people voting: do we want to include this tower to the network of towers or not? And so I think it will be like a completely different like feeling, and I think it's what you experience also being here.
Yeah.
The second thing is like people, I don't think, come here for working. They also come here for working, and that's completely fine. But there's also a lot of tools that they have available. There's a third space where they can, chill. There's an artsy music floor where like a lot of concerts and things happen. There's a gym. So it's a much more broader kind of offering we have. And I think it's happening in a time when actually the downtown areas of Western cities need to be completely reinvented. And what we're proposing is how such a city could look like, right?
Right.
And so it's a time of AI and work from home, where the classical office space is no longer used and needed. Where also like the times that you have to spend 10 hours in front of your laptop writing 10,000 emails and will also slowly disappear, and things such as network, being creative, being innovative will become more and more important. And this is what we provide here in a much more conscious and much more direct way than like I think WeWork did,
Yeah, for sure.
And so these are, I think, the things I would distinguish. And then like I think the second thing from a business model perspective, so it is like one other thing that is different. Like right now, commercial space is empty in downtown. People don't know what to do with it. At the time WeWork was starting, it was like super expensive. I mean, this wasn't a former WeWork, so the metrics don't add up, right? So like is a substantial difference if you pay 1 million rent and need to get that back on the membership, or 10 million, right? Yes. So there's like a whole different game.
Yeah.
And so yeah, these are the kind of things that I would see, different. And let's see how it plays out. I mean, I hope we stay true to ourselves. And we're very conscious. For example, like we're right now raising money for our startup, but it's only like angel tickets. We're not trying to get these big VCs in, because that also brings some tension. I'm not saying down the line we will not do that, but we have a very solid ground of like very big individuals that are like angel investors that are well aligned, and
And so right now you're raising money. What's the money for? What's it to contribute towards?
Yeah. So to build out this blueprint and to build out the intergovernmental structure, have a whole DAO set up where people can vote, and then also to just build out small things such as like how to onboard like new towers, then how what is the security in the check-in so that this experience is for every tower the same. Build out this blueprint in terms of like a robot barista that we have upstairs, like a gym, longevity tools and so on, so that we have a certain offering that we can kind of like give to all the towers, so that you have this kind of like that you profit from all the new technology in every tower, and that is like inspiring for you, right? So like the robot fights, for example. So it's really this kind of like they can be a bit different, but it should really be like the experience and the feeling people should get is be like, wow, I'm here at the place with friends, it's a community, I can ask everyone everything, it's an open space, but I'm also at the forefront of like human advancement,
Yeah.
And that's, I think, super important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely very exciting to be here.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So you're currently looking for money just to help fund the next phase of this. What else are you looking for right now? What do you feel is most in need to help push this as fast or as in the best serve this idea in the best way possible? Yeah.
So I know that sounds probably sounds a bit surprising to you because it's still quite chaotic, but I actually think we're pretty much like ready to expand.
for another tower,
yes.
Or what do you mean?
Yeah, for another towers. So okay. we're looking at this. We're also thinking about adding like living, so like looking at like hotels that we could add, and to have like hacker houses.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And then we think of expanding in the city actually, but also like to other cities, and just to see what like I'm so curious to see how does a Frontier Tower look like in LA? How does a Frontier Tower look like in New York? How does a Frontier look like in Europe or in Asia? Like I just want to see it. Like I think it's just going to be amazing, and super interesting. I mean, for me, just like seeing this tower, it's not. I honestly, I wouldn't have expected it so cool. Like I'm so surprised. Like in San Francisco, the quality of people is just absolutely mind-boggling. It's like it's so cool. But I think other cities can also like do really cool stuff and like surprise me and everyone else of what's coming up. And so that's right now the struggle, the kind of like the top of mind thing that I'm like thinking about.
Wow. All right. So I'm curious, what do you do in your spare time? Because you're obviously very, besides cooking and,
spare time?
No spare time at the moment. It's full mode.
Yes. And so honestly, like that's also part of why I choose to do this, to focus on this instead of venture studio or other things that I could have done. It is really like, so what I learned is the most important thing is the kind of activity you do. So what does that mean? It's like, if you, like, and this is something I recommend to everyone, like, and it took me a long time to understand that. A lot of people want to work, when I was like in the 20s, everyone wanted to work in fashion or art, or want to become an artist and learn the fashion, something like that. And then if you look at it, what do they actually do? Okay, cool, you work for Louis Vuitton, but what do you do? If you're like doing an office job, you might work for Louis Vuitton, but you're writing emails. Oh, thank you so much for your email. We'll look into this. Let me get back to you. Blah, blah, blah. So like you're spending time like with stupid tasks, boring tasks in front of your laptop. Like it doesn't matter if it's like Costco or Louis Vuitton. Like what is the difference apart from you being in the evening saying I work for Louis Vuitton? I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? And I could give you a lot of examples like that, where like people like, and they might even be well paid or whatever. Yeah. But it's like. I think the first thing you should always look at when you look at what do I want to do, for me, that's what I learned, is like, how do I want to spend my time, Do I want to spend my time writing things, coding, like CHP still likes it, or do I want to spend my time speaking with people, or do I want to spend my time in the outdoor, and do I want to spend my time physically working, and then once you figure that out, I think, you can find what you need, and it doesn't matter whether you can make money with it or whether it's a big name or a prestige. None of this matters. If you're happy with what you're doing, with the activity you're doing, people don't focus on the activity they're doing. And so what I realized is I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I'm curious. I love kind of like seeing, observing community kind of growing up. And I also love like physical things, right? It gives me such a deep satisfaction to see the robot barista there, or just this building and like these things moving forward. It's just like, and this combination is really something that is for me perfect. So for me, like, it sounds like cheesy, but it's actually true. I don't have any free time. I'm doing this all the time, but it doesn't feel like work, right? So right. I'm not going to burn out. I'm not overworked. It's just like, I have like awesome co-founders that are also my friends. Yeah. Like, if I have like, I don't know, trouble with my girlfriend or whatever, I can go ask them for a drink. They'll be the first people I will ask. And like, I'm getting to knowing really cool people, and I'm having super interesting conversations. Yeah. And yes, so like, I don't feel like, I'm still going to the gym, like, health is important. But actually I hate that. So like, this is not like,
which gym do you go to?
I'm going to Barry's. Okay. Like, I can only recommend Barry's. It's super cool. It's like, I don't know if you know it, Barry's.
No, yeah. I haven't heard of that one.
It's a boot camp, so it's like, essentially you go there, it's like 30 people, and there's a trainer that tells you what to do.
Okay, sure.
And it's
so like a 60-minute class?
Yeah. And so it's just like, I don't have to think, in the moment I'm there, I know I'm going to pull through, because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of other people, and I'm just going to listen to whatever they say, no matter how hard it is. And for me, makes it easier than like having to body weight myself every 5 minutes at the gym, being, okay, should I just go? I don't want to do it. So in my free time, I'm doing gym, but that's actually not my free time. That's my least favorite moment of the day. I'm happy when it's done,
Yeah. Is it nearby here?
Yeah, there's one in like Fidi over there, financial district, and one in Castro. Okay. And like, they're actually global. That's actually like, it's a cool brand. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to check that one out. Yeah.
I'm not getting paid or anything by that.
Good stuff. Wow, okay. I don't know whether there's anything else we can cover today. We've covered quite a lot.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I really love the Tao. I think it's fantastic.
And maybe for the audience, you've been participating.
Yeah, I've been here for like 5 weeks. Unfortunately, because I've been so busy, buried in my own work, I haven't had the chance to really properly spend time like on all the different floors. Yeah. But the little time I have spent, I've made some really great connections, and it's just always fascinating people. There's always so many events happening here. So it's like I haven't really left the tower. Yeah. It's like I'm just here all the time, meeting people, going to events, or working. And
just to cover, I think you've done exactly what you should be doing. Because like, if you don't pay attention here, you will get distracted. I mean, you can immerse into the tower completely. For sure. You will not get bored for weeks and weeks and weeks. But like, it's sometimes even difficult to stay like focused if you do like to do your stuff. So yeah,
I have to. I think you did exactly the good mix. Myself.
You did the exact perfect mix.
And I love the top floor, the 16th floor.
Yeah,
it just feels so much like it feels like a co-living space really, and where everyone just hangs out.
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
nice.
But it's the one when achieve like this private lounge where people just feel very
beautiful. The skylights.
Yeah.
Beautiful building. All right, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up this session. I've got one last segment. It's called the drop. Just a rapid fire round with no filters, no fluff. You ready?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So this is the Ultra Human podcast. I want you to help me finish this sentence. I know I'm ultra human when.
When I'm in the best state of my mind possible.
Well, you seem like you're in an amazing state right now. What's your favorite TV show and or movie?
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool. Yeah. And what about movie? Do you have a movie?
Oh, so many. I think for this tower, one of the inspiration that I watched when I was 18 is called Waking Life.
Waking Life?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's this different episodes. The guy walks around and is actually dreaming, and he's meeting these super interesting people in all sorts of fields that tell him like very interesting things. And it's with this surrealist filter on top of it. It's filmed in real life, but it's with this surreal filter. And this is the kind of experience I hope people have at the tower, and I think they have. So I recommend everyone to watch Waking Life.
Waking Life. Is this an American show? Or is...
It's an American movie.
All right.
And it's actually, Like, okay. I think you should find it like various places. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about Seinfeld. Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh my God, they're all good. Oh no.
One that comes to mind, just because of what we were talking about before, was the one when Jason Alexander was doing, the opposites. When he was doing the opposites and he was getting amazing results. Yeah. That's a classic.
I think my favorite one, or then like why I like this kind of like strange existential humor that is like playing with human psychology. And I think my favorite thing is when George grows a mustache to take holiday from himself.
Oh, really? I have to watch that one. I haven't seen all the shows, but I've seen quite a few. What's your best purchase? A thing or service or experience you've ever bought?
Probably this tower.
I think, definitely that's a good one. If you had a warning label, what would it say?
Don't bullshit me.
Don't what?
Don't bullshit me.
Okay. Straight talker.
I actually think there's another super skill I have. I'm pretty fast knowing when someone is trying to bullshit me.
Okay. So good bullshit detector. Good warning for others. That's good warning. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
To become a teacher by my parents who are teachers.
You never entertained that? I mean, you did study art and all that. So
So I studied literature and culture with addition on to become a teacher. So
you were on that path.
I ended up being a teacher for 6 months in Colombia in a German school, and I realized it's not for me.
Wow. Okay.
And looking back on it, I was like, parents, you know me. Why did you want me to become a teacher?
Well, you did your bit. I did my bit as well.
Yeah.
My parents wanted me to be a doctor. I did that for a bit, and I left too.
But I think it's like this is something I also want to achieve at the tower. I want to inspire people to become entrepreneurs and to follow their true calling. It's like, for me, it was very difficult because they were bureaucrats. It's like I had loving parents. They're great parents with awesome holidays, with a camper, and they had so much holidays as teachers in Europe. And so it was like really like, and it's your parents, and they really wanted me to become a teacher because they felt like this is safe, and it's like, we were so happy, he should become so happy. And so it was really difficult to kind of like free myself from that. Like, it's like unconsciously, it took me much later to understand that, like, it took me quite a time to free myself from it. And it was also the people I met that actually like helped me also to kind of like, pursue what I really want to do. And that's one of the things I hope the tower will achieve for people.
I'm curious how your parents feel about what you've done.
I think now they're proud, but I think they were always proud. So they were always supportive. But like, it's like, so once I was like, even after I was like pretty obviously successful, and I even tried to tell them, like show them that I'm. they were still pushing me to become a teacher. And the second thing they pushed me is to finish my master thesis. So when I started the project in Leipzig, you never know whether it actually works out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, instead of writing my master thesis, I'm gonna do this project and let's see where it goes. And then I never finished it, but I promised my parents that I will do it. And so after 3 years, when the last thing I would have needed was this master thesis or a master degree, I finished it. And then I put the master degree under the Christmas tree to my parents. And I was like, Merry Christmas, I only did this for you, you deserve this, but now leave me alone, I'm not going to become a teacher.
Very nicely done. I should have done something similar.
Yeah.
What's something that you believe in that you no longer do? Used to believe in?
Europe.
Europe?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like in the direction that the whole continent's going, or?
Yeah. So I mean, it breaks my heart to say it. Like I was always like, especially I was like socialized in the Iraq during the Iraq War. I was 13. That was the first demonstration I went to, and I just felt like, oh my God, how can America do this? This is so stupid. They will lose their power. They will lose their status. They will not, Europe is so much better. And the European Union, I love this idea of a post-modern state, like conglomerate of a state, like it's based on peace after all this time. I love the story of Europe. I love the social market economy of Europe. But it has just become this place where just people don't work at all anymore. We're not competitive. We don't face reality at all. We don't understand that there is just not everyone wants peace in this world, and we have to stand up for our values, for our democracy, and all of these things. There's not a maturity in Europe that sees it that way, and I see really Europe going in such a bad direction. And I think being at the forefront of technology and of a lot of things, I think. And I hope I'm wrong, but I wish I was wrong. But I think people are going to wake up very badly in Europe soon and understand, oh shit, we really gambled away a lot of things we had.
Right.
And unfortunately.
Well, what's one thing you wished people asked you more about?
Okay. I mean, I love the questions. This was a really good interview. So I'm fine with what people ask me, and I think they ask the right questions, and totally understand it. I always like talking much more about my projects. I love when people talk about my projects.
Well, how many other projects do you have?
No, just this one.
I was going, wow, okay. This opening up a whole can.
No, just this one.
Okay. All right, a deep one.
I'm always surprised. People always want to know a lot about me, and I'm hey, let's talk about the project. It's much cooler.
Yeah, okay, here's a deep one. What's the meaning of life?
So I don't know what's the meaning of life. I can tell you what's the most important for me. That's my kid. My kid, my child.
Oh wow! I didn't know you had one.
Yeah,
Do you never bring your child to the tower? How old?
She's in Berlin. I'm going back to Berlin because of her. So it's
how old is she?
She's 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but she was here in April, May, June. She was here at the tower. She loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, amazing. You've done the most amazing thing already. I'm still on the sidelines waiting.
Don't wait too long.
I know, I need to hurry up. What's your go-to hype song?
Hype song?
Hype song, yeah. Do you have one?
Always changes.
What's the current one?
The current one... It's actually this remix of Lady Gaga.
Oh, really? Which one?
I need to check. I saw it on this awesome dances that were but it's just a period. I'll regret saying that.
How do you find? Yeah. What's your way of discovering new music? I've just been so busy. I haven't listened to music for a long time. But how do you normally get exposed to new music? So actually it's one of the sad things that a lot of music is I used to listen a lot to always remember as This Way remixed by the Grande. Cool.
But it will change.
Sure, that's a
no, it's I still have a lot of music over the times that I accumulate that I go back to, and it brings me back in these phases.
Yeah.
Which was like, there's like, actually I would say like over 90% is music that I've been listening to over like, the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And that brings me back in these moments. And I was like very like into music and like listening to a lot of stuff. And then the other things is sometimes the Spotify algorithm like going away from my playlist and adding me a little thing and I like it. Or like this one was on YouTube, just like, clicking through shorts, there was like these dances and I listened to this stuff, I was like, it's cool. And then still sometimes Friends, the artsy music furor, like I discovered a couple of songs there, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And lastly, what makes you most feel alive? What makes you feel most alive?
They are also like spending time with my daughter.
Yeah.
Bringing her to bed. Like, I always lie right next to her, bring her to bed, to fall asleep, make sure she falls asleep, and then just becomes very cuddly at 5. And, yeah.
Just makes me I just saw Despicable Me yesterday. It must be. Have you seen that movie?
No.
I think you should see that one. Yeah, I think the girl in that's super cute. All right. The last one is, what message would you graffiti across every phone lock screen if you could hack them all?
Phone lock screen?
Yeah. If you could send a message to every phone user.
If you would have said like building, I would have said this city is for you.
Right.
Phone lock screen. Check out the Frontier Tower. I don't know.
Shameless blurbs. Thank you. Well, that was a drop. It was real, raw, and fully human. Thank you so much, Christian, for showing up with such honesty and heart. Where can people find you then? I mean, what's the best way to find out more about the tower, your project?
Homepage frontiertower.io.
Okay.
And then San Francisco, 995 Market Street. This is the blueprint. Come by. I'm at the 15th floor. Always happy to chat.
All right. Lovely. A warm welcome to everyone. Thanks. Well, thank you again. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and do all the things. And remember, keep your heart open, your mind curious, and your hands ready to lift someone else up along the way. Till next time, I'm Derrick Siu. Stay ultra. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Nice. That was fun.
Wow, I love that conversation. The way we build systems, whether companies, communities, or cities, ultimately reveals what we value most. Transparency, ownership, and trust aren't buzzwords. They're blueprints. Next episode, we zoom all the way in, from human systems to the human body. I'm joined by Dr. Elliot Justin to unpack why sexual health is one of the most misdiagnosed, undermeasured, and misunderstood areas in modern medicine. We get into data, devices, erectile health, testosterone, and why get data might be the most important advice most men never hear. It's honest, practical, and eye-opening. Can't wait to share that episode with you. I'm Derrick Siu. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay lit. This has been a livinglit.life production, copyright 2021, all rights reserved. To join me as a guest on the show or for sponsorship and partnership inquiries, please email hello@livinglit.life. And don't forget, stay lit. See ya.